Hello, my name is Lauren Viteris, and these are my big takeaways from the off-campus master's program rooted in Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences theory offered by the University of St. Joseph. One of the biggest ideas that I've carried with me since the beginning of the program comes from our very first class, the introductory course with Don Seiler in multiple intelligences theory, that has to do with offering choice and differentiation in assessment, but also throughout the entire learning process. A lot of research says that providing students with as many entry points as possible to access the information, along with providing opportunity for real-world experiences and expectations, will make for more consistent and goal-level performances and products. Here you'll see 3 different examples of assessments that I have offered to my own students in class. They are all telling me what they learned, but they're also proving to me that they know it in their own way. Differentiation allows for students to genuinely put their own strengths and energies into the assessment, and they're not just memorizing information and inputting it into a format that they've seen over and over and over again.
My painting title is Wonderland Life. I used primary, complementary, and secondary colors, and my painting is non-objective. My favorite part of my art is the complementary color scheme because it looks like a page out of Alice in Wonderland, which is why I titled it Wonderland Life. One thing I would fix about my painting is just to clean up the little splotches, and I learned from this that a secondary color can also be a complementary color.
The next big idea comes from a combination of courses, but especially the course in educational issues, and this has a lot to do with being aware of our students' identity and being able to represent them in our classes and in our curriculum. This means being an advocate for our students, regardless of their race, gender, sexuality, disabilities, and so on. Representation promotes a lot of social emotional learning and cultural responsiveness in the classroom. Here you'll see 2 examples of crazy quilt collages that I made. These were in response to a presentation by Paul and Alexa in our cohort, and these were inspired by Black local Hartford artist Ed Janetta Miller. These were a lot of fun to make. We were able to experiment with different fabric and paper materials and design concepts, while also being able to speak about how colors and patterns and textures relate to different cultures. We have the idea of arts integration into core content areas, as well as content area integration into arts courses. This idea was present throughout the entire program. There are so many benefits to cross-curricular activities, and they present real-world applications and opportunities, and students are learning in a novel, fun way that's going to promote retention and engagement and performance in whatever subject you are teaching. Here you see an example of a lesson that combines mathematic concept of probability with the elements of visual art. So you see a chart demonstrating how you roll the dice, and depending on what it lands on, it's going to determine the size, color, shape, and location of a shape on your paper. You could end up with a geometric or organic shape. You might end up with a lot of small shapes or a lot of large shapes. But the goal of this was to continue rolling, to fill up your paper with shapes and colors, but also to understand the probability of getting specific colors or shapes on your paper. I've done this with my own students and they've had a lot of fun with it. And from what I can remember, students in my cohort also had a lot of fun with it in class when I demonstrated the project. It can be easily adapted into other subject areas for storytelling, and students can work individually or in groups to create a fun creative piece. The course in creativity, writing, and nature allowed all of us to tap into one of the intelligences that I think often goes forgotten or left out of most curriculums, and that is the naturalistic intelligence. This class allowed us to facilitate links to the natural world, not only for ourselves as educators, but also for our students, especially those in more urban communities that may be confined at home or in their own town, and especially those that were greatly impacted by quarantine when we were impacted by COVID-19. Um, by making these links to the natural world, we are able to bridge gaps in experiences with our students and the environments that they are accustomed to, and environments that are novel and interesting and places that they would like to visit. In this class, we did a lot of virtual nature walks, animal live cams. We did weekly journaling, which could consist of writing, creative writing, sketching, and just taking time to stop and observe and understand the world around us. For my artifact here, I have an art piece that I created in response to one of the journals. I had made an observation one afternoon where I had looked out at the sky in one direction and there were these bright, beautiful, heavenly clouds, and on the opposite direction you could see these dark, stormy, heavy clouds starting to roll in. There was some sort of a hailstorm, snow squall that was about to happen, and it seemed like I was right in the center of it. And while I was looking back and forth between the two types of clouds in the sky, I saw swarms of birds trying to escape from the snow squall. They would fly up and expand out, and you can see them in their masses, and then when they would dive down together, they would clump together. And when I made this observation, it just really stuck with me for some reason. The imagery was very vivid in my head. I could see the colors and remember the colors, and I was inspired to make this art piece based off of this observation. I also use a lot of observation in the art room and have students write or illustrate based on what they see and what they understand. The last big idea has to do with dance and physical movement in general, promoting understanding, problem solving, and critical thinking. When students can interpret traditional content, concepts, words, images into body movement, they are learning in a way that's going to enhance their memory. Uh, Memory and cognition are physical processes, and when we allow our bodies to move along with what we are taking in, it enhances that experience for a lot of learners. In this course, there was one particular assignment where we were asked to create a cinquain poem about something in our content area, and then we were asked to create a dance or a movement phrase that went along with it. So on this slide, you will see the written poem that I did. I also sketched out the body movements that I wanted to rehearse, as I am a visual learner. And if you're brave enough, you can also click on the video to see me performing that dance. I have done this cinquain assignment with my own students where I have left the movement part optional, but it can also be adapted to have them create an illustration or a story or a video that also demonstrates their poem. Color: bright, bold, warm, cold, neutral. I am but light, painted. And overall, all of these big ideas that I took from this program have to do with equity and how equity is stronger than equality. While each student as an individual does matter and does deserve the same amount of attention, they may require different resources or modifications or choices or opportunities different from the person sitting next to them. Equity is going to ensure success in your classroom. And as teachers, we need to be advocates for all of our students and to give them what they need, but also to expose them and challenge them beyond their potential so that they can continue to grow and adapt to their worlds, to their future classes, and to their life as adults in society.